These are the best bosses in each Call of Duty Zombies game. Only one nomination per game, and one nomination can only appear once. With that being said though guys, feel free to hit me up on my Twitch for streams and join the Discord server down below. That's all from me for now, so let's get into the video. Starting off with World at War guys, and it's the only boss enemy in the game, and that is obviously the Hellhounds. However, despite only being one boss enemy featured in this game, they are still really iconic and very memorable bosses. You know, the fog rolls in on certain specific rounds, you hear the "fetch me their souls," and then these guys just spawn in a bolt of electricity. It's really terrifying on the old games, and these guys were a very nice contrast to the zombies. You know, the zombies were kind of slow, you know, strong, predictable. These guys are just fast as anything, and in World at War at least, they're quite difficult to kill. Obviously, you can use like the Wonder Warf or the trench gun to reliably take them out, but if you're using like submachine guns, you know, LMGs, even stuff like that, you're gonna have a real tough time taking these guys out, and it should speak volumes as to how good these guys are when they've reappeared in some form or another in literally every single Treyarch Zombies game following World at War. The Hellhounds are iconic, we love them, and it should surprise absolutely no one that they are taking this spot. Black Ops 1 introduced significantly more boss zombies, with a new boss enemy featured on pretty much every map. It was quite difficult to choose the best one. I narrowed it down to George or the Pentagon Thief, and I think that George ultimately, you know, took the cake purely because of the threat that he imposes on Call of the Dead. He spawns in on round 1, and yes, you can kill him, however, he has an insane amount of health, and even if you do kill him, he'll be back the next round. He's a constant menace throughout the map, however, his difficulty is actually on the player rather than his own design, and this is because he'll only get angry and chase you at the speed of, you know, a sprinting zombie if you accidentally bump into him, let him attack you, or if you shoot him, meaning that if you ignore him, he's gonna be just a constant threat in the back of your mind, but really nothing all that imposing. But if you try to take this guy on, holy shit is it fun to do. You know, you can kill him even on the earlier rounds, you know, he's really not that bad. If you kill him, he gives you one hell of a reward, you know, he gives you a free perk, you know, a random perk bottle, and he also gives you either a death machine or a Wonder Warf, depending on if you've completed the Easter egg or not. George realistically is a really fun boss to deal with. I can understand why some might not like him, and to be fair, it was either him or the Pentagon Thief. You know, the Pentagon Thief gives you the bonfire sale, and he's a constant, you know, chaotic presence on 5, but realistically, George Romero is just the GOAT. He's the iconic man that created the zombie genre, really, and, you know, he's gotta be on this list. You know, rest in peace, dude. Unfortunately, however, you'll notice a reoccurring theme on this list, and that is I really like the big, strong, imposing enemies, so apologies if I repeat myself, you know, with my description of these guys. However, my Black Ops 2 nomination is obviously the Panzer Soldat. No, it's not Brutus. I know Brutus has a lot of lore and story significance on Mob of the Dead. However, I think he's just way too easy to take out. The Panzer, on the other hand, is a much more balanced challenge. You know, he always spawns in on round 8. You know when he's coming, and he is a tough challenge. You know, he's basically indestructible if you go for anything other than the head with, you know, bullet weapons. He's a force of nature. You know, he has the claw attack, he has the flamethrower at close range, and obviously he's got the melee swings. However, despite all of this, he still is not bullshit. You know, you have quite a lot of ways to deal with him on Origins. You have, you know, the ray gun Mark II, the regular ray gun. You have the Mauser pistol, you know, when Pack-a-Punch, and obviously you have the staffs, which just delete this guy. So I think he's a very balanced challenge in that respect. Yes, he's basically indestructible if you take him on with bullet weapons, but if you take him on with most wonder weapons, it will just delete him. You know, he's fast, he's powerful, but he's not, you know, bullshit. You know, I think that's kind of the biggest problem with the Der Eisendrache Panzer. He just scales up with the player, but to a ridiculous degree, meaning that taking him on the later rounds is a pain in the ass. That's not something you'll experience with the Origins Panzer. He's still a force of nature and you need to respect him. However, he's not bullshit, and I enjoy fighting him. On to Black Ops 3 now, and obviously my choice is the Margwa. Really, no surprising anyone, you know, Shadows of Evil is one of my favorite maps, and the Margwa is one of my favorite bosses, as I think he's perfectly balanced. You know, he can one-shot you if you don't have Jug, and he takes you to red health even if you do have Jug. Yet despite all of this, you know, he's really not that bad. You know, fast movement speed, sure, you can only hit certain weak spots. However, his weak spots really don't have that much health, and, you know, the fact that he gets faster as you take him down is a really nice touch. I really don't have a problem with the Margwa. You know, on Shadows of Evil, people complain that he's, you know, too difficult. It's like, no, you can one-shot him with the Civil Protector. You know, the ray gun demolishes him. You know, there are a few strategies for taking him out if he's giving you grief. However, he's really not that bad, and and you know, evidently Treyarch agrees because he returned in Revelations, and he also had a few elemental variants. You know, he had the Fire Magua, the Void Magua, you know, etc, etc, and they also tried bringing him back into Cold War. However, that's a story for another day. The Magua is just a really good boss. I don't need to explain this to you. We all know it. Let's just move on. My nomination for Black Ops 4 might be a bit of a hot take, as I know a lot of people might not like the Blight Father all that much, but I've never had a problem with the guy. He's basically the Chaos equivalent of the Magua, the Panzer, you know, these big, tough enemies that pursue you. However, he's really not that bad. You know, he moves very slowly. Sure, he's strong, but again, you know, he's slow. He has a few ranged options, but he's really not that bad. And, you know, his weak spots are obviously massive on his back. You can use the Death of Orion to stun him, slow him down, use the Hammer's ability, you know, the Hammer of Valhalla to, you know, completely stun him. Sure, he hits hard, but again, you know, just do those strategies, you'll honestly be fine. The one annoying thing about him is, you know, the fact that he can lock down certain areas of the map. You know, he vomits on, you know, like war weapons, traps, etc. You have to pay to unlock them. However, that's the same with Brutus on Mob of the Dead, and I don't hear a single person complaining about that, so it really isn't that bad from a gameplay standpoint. He's just a really fun boss. You know, he's the best boss on 9, the best boss on Voyage. You know, he's just a really, really fun fight. You know, he's very different. He's, you know, slow compared to the zombies. He stands out. He's unique. I don't have that much more to say about him. He's just a fun fight, and I think he's very underrated. Finally, for Cold War, my choice once again is a bit predictable. I'm sorry, it's the Megaton, because what else could be the best boss in Cold War? Literally all of them have flaws except for this guy. He's just the perfect challenge. You know, he's slow moving yet extremely strong. He's very durable, but despite this, there are still reliable strats to get rid of him. You know, just put dead wire on your gun, use Ring of Fire, or you can use the ray gun to reliably take him out. However, with most bosses, that would be the end of it, but with this guy, he splits into two. He's literally the only mini boss that has two phases. The second one being, obviously, he splits into the Megaton, Blaster, and Bomber. One of them being ranged, one of them preferring to, you know, get in your face and take you on with melee. He's a really fun fight, and both of these guys are really good. They're not all that durable individually, but obviously you had the first phase where, you know, they were together, they were really, really durable, and I really like this guy. And what makes, you know, the exfils on D-Machine all the more fun is the fact that you have to take on this guy in, you know, the yard area, which I do really, really enjoy. He's a very, you know, good challenge, you know, really not that bad. I know on launch he was a bit too overpowered with his ranged attacks. However, with all the, you know, the new perks, the new strats, new weapons, he's really not as bad as he used to be, and he is a phenomenal fight that I would happily do any day of the week. With that being said though, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know you guys wanted an outro, so